Hearing none, in the proclamations, there is a proclamation to recognize June 19th as Juneteenth, and the proclamation is available online. We no longer read proclamations. However, tonight we have with us Dr. McCafferty. And Dr. McCafferty, I invite you to unmute yourself. And I neglected to mention that City Hall will be closed on Friday, Juneteenth as well. So we will observe the holiday as well on this coming Friday. But Dr. McCafferty is here to talk to us a little bit about Juneteenth. And Dr. McCafferty, you are unmuted, so the floor is yours if you'd care to speak. Thank you very much for taking time to be with us.
Thank you. And I thank you, Mayor Becker, for the opportunity, and to the mayor and the members of the council. I will just give a little background information about Juneteenth. And we are happy that the City Council decided to give recognition to Juneteenth, a day commemorating the freedom of slaves in Galveston, Texas, almost 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation issued by President Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863. The proclamation changed the legal status under federal law of more than 3.5 million enslaved African Americans in the secessionist Confederate states from enslaved to free. The states that were not in rebellion were not included, but the proclamation still applied to more than 4 million enslaved people. And we were taught in school that Lincoln freed the slaves, that the Civil War was fought to free the slaves, and that Black people in America have made slow but steady progress. Abraham Lincoln, in fact, had little concern for the plight of slaves. In his famous reply to Editor Horace Greeley in August 1862, he openly stated, my paramount objective in this struggle is to save the Union, and it's not either to save or destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving some others alone, I would also do that. End of quote. Yep. He also originally opposed Blacks fighting in the Civil War, because the Civil War, in fact, was a war between two economic systems, a war for power and control in the United States by separate factions of the ruling class, the rich white slave owners in the South and rich white industrialists in the North. It was not a moral issue, but a political and economic issue. And since Texas was the most remote slave state, most slaves in Texas were unaware of their freedom until it was announced to them when Union troops arrived on June 19, 1865. General Gordon Granger came to enforce the emancipation of slaves and to oversee a peaceful transition of power and nullifying all laws passed by Confederate lawmakers in Texas during the Civil War. General Order Number 3 was read at the Union Army Headquarters building. It was read at the courthouse, and it was read at Reedy Chapel AME Church, announcing that the people were free in accordance with the Emancipation Proclamation issued in 1863. And I read, the people of Texas are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and personal property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts, and they will not be supported in idleness, either there or elsewhere. Although Juneteenth celebrates the end of slavery in the United States, it celebrated this end of slavery in the United States, it was still legal in practice in two Union border states, which were Delaware and Kentucky, until later that year after the ratification of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished chattel slavery nationwide. And that is why we are intent on celebrating this day, because it is actually a day of freedom despite all the odds against us. And formerly enslaved people in Galveston celebrated after the reading. And this celebration spread across the South and continued in varying degrees up until this very day. In the 20th century, economic and political forces such as Jim Crow laws and amendments to the Constitution that disenfranchised Black people, excluding them from the political process, were put into effect. In 1937, Texas Governor James Alford issued a proclamation to observe June 20th, 1938 as Emancipation Day. Legislation passed in Texas made Juneteenth a state holiday. And celebrations continue today. We do such things as the reading of the Emancipation Proclamation, we hold prayer breakfasts, street fairs, reenactments, information dissemination about the status of Black affairs, health fairs, singing of traditional songs, and reading of works by noted African-American writers. Family reunions, cookouts, blues festivals, lectures, plays, storytelling, and exhibitions on African-American history and experience are added so that we can instill a sense of heritage and pride in Black youth, and to commemorate a people who have a strong sense of overcoming. Historian Mitch Kochum considers that celebrations of the end of slavery have three goals: to celebrate, to educate, and to agitate. I thank you so much again for this opportunity, and we regard this as a chance towards mending the racial bridge and moving towards racial reconciliation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Reverend McCafferty. We appreciate your taking time to join us today. For those of you who may not know, Reverend McCafferty is the minister at St. George's AME Church on Park Avenue. And we thank you